Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our Eat to Beat Disease webinars, where we partner with other individuals and brands and talk about the latest research and actually how do you use food in practical sense of food as medicine. So today I'm really happy to be talking about one of my favorite beverages, which is tea. I actually drink 3 to 5 cups of tea a day, and it's different kinds of tea I actually enjoy. I love the taste. I love the experience. I like how I feel after I have tea. And of course, there's a lot of health benefits with it. And I've actually been a researcher looking at the health benefits of tea. So today we're going to talk all about tea with the founder of Seimi Tea, Kiyomi Kyoke. Hello, Kiyomi. It's great to see you again.
Hi, Dr. Lee. Great to see you again, too. I'm very glad that we can meet to talk about tea in even more detail.
Yeah, no, I love your story about tea and the passion that you actually have about it. Can you kind of share a little bit more about how you came to commit your life and your business to tea, and how this has become a journey for you?
Well, thank you, Dr. Lee. My green tea journey started 21 years ago when my husband and my father were diagnosed with cancer. My father had just a few months of life left, and my husband had a 50-50 chance of survival rate with stage 3 colon cancer. As a native Japanese, I knew green tea is good for combating cancer, so I bought many boxes of tea bag green teas at our local grocery store and told my husband to drink 10 tea bags every day. And then on the third day, he refused it. I wanted him to keep drinking green tea, so I started to research about green tea intensively. And I learned that exposure to the sun creates catechins in the tea leaf. Catechins, C-A-T-E-C-H-I-N-S, catechins, are the key contributor of health benefits of green tea. The benefits include boosting immunity, neutralizing free radicals that attack healthy cells, and even starving cancer cells to death. And also, I found when you brew tea leaf, you get only 30% of the nutrition available in the tea leaf because not all the nutrition is not water soluble. Green tea leaf offers vitamins, minerals, and fiber, along with the powerful catechins. So I searched the green tea with two conditions: green tea grown in full sun and green tea in powder form. And I found it with help from my family and my friends. That is the Senja powder edible green. It was also naturally low in caffeine and certified organic. My husband said, "This is delicious. And it's easy to make. Just mix the powder with water, hot or cold. No brewing time, no waste to deal with." And he drank 5 cups a day. All day. He just, drank one after another. And he said it helped him with side effects from his chemotherapy. And also it helped him to get a sense of controlling his own life, his own health as he drank it. And he shared me later on, he said, he was always mumbling, whispering to himself, his mantra, "Die, bastard, die," as he drank the tea. So his oncologist was surprised. He beat us, and we thought it's our moral duty to share our discovery. That's how we started Seimi Tea. Thankfully, my husband is still cancer-free for 21 years.
Wow, what an amazing story. And I'm sure this story, your story, resonates with a lot of people who are affected by cancer. I mean, we all know somebody who has been touched by cancer, whether it's ourselves or a family member or a friend or a neighbor or a coworker. Now, I like the fact that you dove into the research on tea and cancer. That's part of the work that I've actually done as well. And we actually took tea that had been brewed, and we studied it in cancer research labs. In fact, I did some tea research with the National Cancer Institute, and a lot of people don't know how you do this, but basically you brew tea, okay? And then it's too hot to really do anything with. So then you cool it, and then you refrigerate it. And so some people ask, well, is it only hot tea that's good for you, or iced tea? Is iced tea any good for you? Well, I can tell you, in the research lab, when we actually study tea, the tea actually gets refrigerated, so it's actually cold. And of course, then you have to warm it back up to room temperature before you can expose it to cells or give it to animals to drink or what have you.
Right.
So the idea that, you know, brewing tea and changing the temperature does not affect its beneficial effects is really important, because that means that hot tea or iced tea is actually good. Now, we actually studied it in systems that were used for drug development. In other words, the same experimental models that are used to test cancer drugs. And what we found was quite remarkable, that not just any tea, but multiple teas, not single teas, but multiple teas could actually have this cancer starving effect by cutting off the blood supply. And that's really good news. It's kind of a new discovery in a way, but it builds on all the other reasons that tea could be beneficial to somebody with suffering from cancer, or frankly, if you don't have cancer, it could be a number of other conditions in which you want a beverage that can calm inflammation in your body, that can help you have better immunity, that can feed your gut microbiome, which are the healthy gut bacteria that can communicate to your immune system. So I think there's many reasons why tea is such a beneficial beverage, in addition to it being delicious.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I get asked, you know, so many times, like, you know, I read the hot water is going to kill the antioxidants of the green tea. So, you know, what is the right temperature? And actually, I read a study showing, you know, the research cooked the catechin antioxidants, catechins, in a 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven for 60 minutes. And, you know, the first 20 minutes, nothing happened. You know, the catechins are is still intact in perfect shape. And after that, you know, gradually degraded. But after 60 minutes, still 80% of those are still intact. So if you don't have time to measure the temperature of the water, no problem, just go ahead and use it and then just let it cool. And the specific temperature is to make that perfect tasting tea, right? It's so delicate flavor and it's so enjoyable if you are making it for the right temperature, which is like, you know, 175, 185 Fahrenheit degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's a very simple, casual, nice, nutritious.
You talk about temperature. Is there a simple way of thinking about it? I mean, most people don't walk around with a thermometer. So you boil water and you pour it into the tea. How many minutes does it take from boiling to get to the right temperature?
Okay, so that is a great question. I believe, you know, every stove is different, so probably it's a little different. But, you know, if you open that up, you know, the tea kettle, and, you know, when you see that the bubbles are starting out, it's about like, you know, 140. You know, it's still a little too low. So wait until, like, you know, the more the bubbles are coming out. And by then, probably you hear the noise, you know, the kettle noise too, but, you know, still a little low. So wait like, you know, 30 seconds to 1 more minute, and then you can use that water. And if you forget to watch it, and then if the water gets boiled already, and then you can still use that water, just pour that water, boiling hot water, into a clean mug cup. And each time you pour that water, the temperature decreases by about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, like 200, 212, you know, degrees, 200, let's say 200, and then minus 15, 185, and one more time, and then 160, you know, about that range, you know, you have the right temperature.
So you're saying taking 3 mugs, transfer into 3 regular mugs will actually take it to the right temperature.
Just the cream mugs, you know, and the one you're using that mug for is just to pour the cream water. So you don't have to wash that mug, just, you know, put it back into the cover or, you know, the rack, and, you know, they are still clean.
Okay, that's a good tip. Now, the other thing that I think would be helpful to think about for most people, because we know there's catechins in it, we know there's polyphenols, we know there's a lot of health effects, but some of the people actually who are not so certain about tea, or maybe even shy away from drinking tea, is because of the caffeine. Can you talk a little bit about what we all need to know about caffeine and tea, and how do you, which teas have less caffeine, and how do you manage to get around that problem?
Okay, so I'd like to focus on the green tea at this point. And green tea naturally offers caffeine, as you said, Dr. Lee. So how to choose the less caffeine green tea is, well, let's focus on the growing environment. So the sun exposure actually increases the catechin antioxidants, and also one more thing it does is it decreases the caffeine amount. So if you're choosing the tea growing in the full sun, that tea is naturally lower in caffeine. And if you are consuming the leaf in the powder form, that means you are ingesting whole tea leaf. Of course, you are at this point, you are already ingesting 100% of the caffeine, along with other wonderful healthful components, catechins, minerals, vitamins, and fiber. However, if you compare the powder and the regular brewed green tea, still that caffeine is lower than the brewed tea, and also, actually the catechins and other nutrition is higher, as I said just now, because water soluble component is only 30% of the tea leaf nutrition.
So for somebody who's trying to buy tea and wants a low caffeine tea, what are their options? If they're sensitive to caffeine, let's say that they just want to have a little bit less caffeine, but they all want to have the good, healthy stuff. What do they do?
That's a great question. Okay, so the best option for them would be Sencha green tea powder. And we offer both regular and decaffeinated. And the Sencha powder regular is called edible green regular, and the decaffeinated is edible green decaffeinated. And it is, from the beginning, lower in caffeine than matcha. So you have the great option to enjoy the catechin, polyphenols, catechin antioxidants from green tea with minimum amount of caffeine. And if you are really sensitive and you'd like to avoid the caffeine at all, our decaffeinated provides close to zero caffeine, less than 3 milligrams in one serving. However, our decaffeinated process is very special. Actually, it removes 95% of the caffeine. However, it remains 95% of the catechins. So that means you are not getting caffeine, but you are getting most of the catechin polyphenols.
How does that work? What's the secret of removing caffeine but keeping the polyphenols?
Right. So, the researchers, scientists discovered, caffeine actually is very water soluble and also located on the surface of the tea leaf. So with the right temperature of the right amount of water with right amount of pressure, 95% of the caffeine gets removed. But, still 95% of that good stuff in that tea leaf. And, the patent goes along with the how they dry the tea leaf, and that quick, even drying process prevent the damaging the tea leaf.
Now is that process true for every kind of decaffeinated tea? So if you went to the grocery store to get decaf tea, would that also be the case?
No, unfortunately, that's not the case, because the decaffeination process could use, most of the cases, actually, the decaffeination process use harsh chemicals, and that is very toxic. and you don't want to consume it. If you are consuming green tea, like Dr. Lee suggests, for the health benefits, you don't want to have that toxin in your body.
Right. So basically, the tea, decaffeinated tea that Sami tea actually offers is made with the process that removes the caffeine with water, and it leaves the good polyphenols. That's something that you know about because it's your product and you've actually studied it. So that's really helpful to know. What are some other alternatives to drinking tea? What are some other ways of enjoying tea?
Well, another unique product of ours is called Unforgettable Brown Rice Coffee. And some people say, well, this is not the coffee, this is dark chocolate. And some people say even, this is the tea, brown rice tea. So anyways, it is a caffeine-free beverage made from roasted whole brown rice. And after roasted without oxygen, that whole brown rice is ground into a fine powder. So you make that coffee or drink with just the powder and water. And once again, you can use, hot or, cold one if you like, cold drink. And you get a lot of polyphenols from brown rice and also fiber, water-soluble fiber. And somehow, they studied the amount of the polyphenols and the fiber and before and after the roasted brown rice. And then roasting process increases the amount of polyphenols and fiber too.
So that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually, first of all, take brown rice, which is a whole grain, powderize it, dissolve it in water. Now you're talking about kind of a rice porridge, except it's very dilute. It's not a porridge, it's actually just a tea. It's got a roasted flavor, so it actually gives you a different way to appreciate a warm, soothing beverage, but also because there's soluble fiber and polyphenols in it. Most people think about getting fiber in their diet by eating kale or eating broccoli. But here's another way of actually getting fiber is actually by sipping on a cup of tea, a brown rice coffee tea. That's not coffee. It's just because it reminds people more of coffee than tea. That's why you call it, right? No coffee in it.
No coffee in it. Totally 100% caffeine free and also gluten free because it's made from brown rice. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful tip. Now, what about cooking with tea? Is that something that you can share? I mean, look, you can put it in a mug and you can sip it all day long. That's how I usually have my tea. But I know I've seen on cooking shows, and I've also seen cookbooks where people actually cook with tea. What's an example of that?
Yeah, so it's easy to use green tea in the cooking, especially in the powder form, because it's powder, very easy. So you can add the powder in your favorite dip. For example, hummus, it's a great combo. And you can, top that soup with that powder. And also, salad dressing, you can use lime juice and mix up with the green tea powder. And if you can use olive oil and mixed up, that's a wonderful salad dressing too. And another favorite one of mine is spice mix. Yeah, so you mix the powder with garlic powder, paprika, and black pepper. And I use it all the time instead of salt because I am watching my salt intake in my diet and it helps me a lot.
So one of the things you could do if you are trying to make your own snacks, and you want to make roast some of your own tree nuts, a cashew, a walnut, an almond, you could actually mix some of this either sencha powder or matcha powder along with other spices. And now not only are you getting the polyphenols from the spices, but it's a different way of actually getting the healthful benefits of green tea in a way that most people wouldn't have thought about. So that's so fantastic. I love how practical the things that you've suggested are. Well, look, great. These are all great ideas, and there are so many more ways to use tea. The most important thing I want people to know is that tea, green tea, brown rice tea, other types of tea, even black teas. They actually activate your body's health defense systems. And these are the hardwired systems that we were born with, that tea will activate. When our health defenses are activated, our health is protected. It kind of lowers our risk for multiple diseases. And for something that tastes as good as tea, it's enjoyable as well. And tea is also quite relaxing, which I think is really important for all of you to know about. So if you want to learn more about Semi Tea, you can visit their website at www.groundgreentea, GROUND greentea.com, groundgreentea.com, or their social media pages. And there's a special discount link available in the webinar show notes as well. And for those of you who want to learn more about my work in food as medicine and how to eat to beat disease and how to put this information into practice, I want to personally invite you to my next masterclass, which is taking place on Monday, January 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next masterclass this coming Monday, January 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is in the description, and you can also go to my website at drwilliamlee.com, drwilliamlee.com, in order to register.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lee. And I hope more people will enjoy delicious food to become healthy. Yeah, thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Kiyomi.